Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the infotainment review on the 23 Jeep Compass and its 10.1-inch Uconnect 5 infotainment system. In this video, we're going to take a look through how the infotainment system works, take a look at how Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are going to look, and talk about the usability of the system, maybe answer any of the questions you might have. But before we get started, let's pop out, take a look at the car. Sounds like a little bit of an emergency going on outside there, but everything is nice and cool here with the 23 Jeep Compass. Nothing too new from an interior standpoint for 2023, but we do have a new engine and transmission underneath the hood. It doesn't really seem to change the driving experience all that much for this car. But if you do want to see more on the Compass, check the links in the description. We've got a review of the 22 model, as well as a review of this one, some fuel economy testing, a dedicated review of the Alpine sound system. All those links I'll throw down below. Before we get to the center infotainment screen, let's take a look here at the gauge cluster. Now this is an altitude model, so it's not giving us navigation there, and it's giving us these analog gauges on the side here and then the digital screen in the middle. The car is not running right now, so it's not giving our speedometer, but using these four-way directional buttons on the left side of the wheel, you can go through speed, a bunch of vehicle information, temperatures, voltages, tire pressure. It's nice to have live monitoring right on there. Trans temp even. You've got driver assist features, your adaptive cruise control and lane management. Fuel economy. Fuel economy's been a little on the low side because of idling, but still not super fantastic for this car. Trip information, trip A and trip B. Stop start information. Audio shows you what song you're playing and what source. No messages right here, but if you had something wrong with your car, it would pop up and tell you there. And then you can actually go in there on screen number 9 and change what's in your screen. This is kind of nice because say you really couldn't care less about a compass, you're very directionally inept and that means nothing to you, you can click upper left and switch that. Maybe you want your outside temperature being on there. I find that much more useful to have that there versus up here in the center screen. So I would do that, and then upper center, you could change that to different things. Menu title, upper right. Yeah, it's nice to be able to customize your screen a little bit there. And you've got fuel on the right and engine temp on the left. Moving over to the center screen, this is one of my favorite screens in this compact crossover class. The resolution is really good, there's a lot of functionality, it responds well, and the size is nice. Everything works well. Chrysler's always done a really good job. By Chrysler, I mean the parent company, Fiat Chrysler, which is now Stellantis, I apologize. They've always done a really good job with their Uconnect infotainment systems. Here you've got a home screen, and this, right off the bat, is customizable. So you can see right here, I was listening to some Ari and Nikki. If I want to change what shows up there regularly, I don't want a media screen, maybe I want my phone favorites, I could click that, and then I could actually set favorites. Maybe I'd set Alyssa, my mother, father, things like that. And then you could have that as your main screen. Maybe you're somewhere where you're really not ever going to use the heated seats and heated steering wheel. You could change that as well. Maybe you want that to be your now playing screen, so it's a little bit more compact. It's nice to be able to customize this main screen to things you use regularly. Down on the bottom, you see what's essentially a main toggle menu. Gets you from home to media, comfort, your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, vehicle, settings and controls there, and then sort of a main app screen. At the end of the day, these are all treated as applications, so you can scroll through and get to all of your different apps, if you will. So let's move right into the media screen. Again, I really like how this is laid out because you've got some main frequently used sources on the left, which you might be able to move around. Maybe not. I guess those are probably going to adapt to what you use regularly. But if you need all the sources, you click up here on the top left. And there's where you can actually customize your favorites. So if you're someone who's never going to use USB, you can swap that out. Maybe you're a big AM radio fan. You drop that right there, and then AM's always going to stay on your left side. And I was holding down on the center app and then dragging it. That's how you customize where you want those to go. Moving around, you can see how quickly the screen responds. But then all of your other sources are listed right there. You've got AM, FM, Sirius XM, satellite radio, Bluetooth streaming, wired and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and USB-A and USB-C. Here's your now playing screen. It's going to give you your track controls, shuffle, repeat, etc. If you had the USB stick plugged in, you could actually browse through tracks and then maybe play, if you had hundreds or thousands of songs on a USB drive, then you'd browse through those there. And then top right, you have your audio settings. You've got front, rear, left, right, fader, and balance, bass, mid-range, and treble. Some other settings including speed adjusted sound, so as you get going faster, the volume of the music is going to pick up to make up for wind, road, and engine noise. Surround sound settings, and some other settings including autoplay, making it so as soon as you start the car, if it's going to start playing your media, if you have a USB plugged in. You also have this is a setting I like, right here, radio off with door. I like how in American vehicles you can typically shut the car off and still keep your music playing until you actually exit the vehicle. But if you don't like that feature, you can disable it. And that's about most you're going to need there in the media screen. Moving on along the bottom, you have your comfort. I will say most HVAC and AC controls can be done right here using physical. I like having physical controls down here, but the one control I've found that you can't do physically is to sync your dual zone climate control. So if your partner has changed climate settings on his or her side over there, then you get back in, you want them all to be the same, you actually have to choose this climate screen and then click down on sync. But other than that, you can really quickly customize where air is flowing, how hot or cold it is, various settings there. And that's also where you get your seat controls. This is a little bit of a frustration to me as well, that there's no heated seat controls physically, but at least you could have them in that home main screen. But I find if you're in a situation where you have maybe your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto going, then it requires a click maybe up here, for example, to get to your heated controls. Doesn't take too long, but still an extra step if you're chilly. Let's move past Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for the moment and move into your vehicle controls. This one is equipped with a 360-degree top view camera. I really appreciate having that. Now, it's not actually a camera on the top. It's made up of cameras around the vehicle, making it seem like it's looking from above. There's your rear view and your full front view. Nice to see that. There's an abbreviated front view with that top still going. And this is looking back as though if you had a trailer hitch and you wanted to back up, you'd line up your trailer there. Definitely like to have that in this class. You can go directly to the rear view camera by clicking that, and then you can turn the screen off. A lot of people like being able to turn the screen off. It's a large screen, it's a bright screen, and if you're driving at night, maybe you just want that to be off and away. It's very nice to have. You also have a screen off button way down here physically. So it's interesting that that is a physical button, but alas. Then in settings, you have quite a lot of settings. The first thing you see here is My Profile. Let's, do we want to talk about that right now? Yeah, let's talk about that right now. This car has a cool setting where you can actually set up driver profiles, and say you share this vehicle with a spouse or someone, I don't know, doesn't really matter, child, something like that. You can actually have profiles set up so that things like your screen customization, which apps you've used recently, your media presets and settings, your Bluetooth favorite device, all of those can be customized for whoever's driving. So if you hop in and you want to quickly just change everything right away, you go up here, choose your setting. You can probably pair that to the key as well. I just don't have that information right on me at the moment. And here are some of the settings that you can customize within that profile. Different things like language, display brightness. It's nice to have an auto and a manual display, so you could actually dial this down if you're someone who's got sensitive eyes. I've found auto to work pretty well with this car. This is kind of fun that you get in a lot of Stellantis vehicles, a screen theme. Now there's only 2 themes for this vehicle, but if you get in something like a Jeep Wrangler, you might have 10 different themes you can choose from. These 2 don't look terribly different, but we'll switch back to theme 1 for the rest of this video. Change your units, whether the touchscreen beeps or not, which most cars you'll find me turning the touchscreen beep off, but this one I've actually left it on because it's so subtle. Just listen. I really don't mind a beep when it's very calm like that. Other settings like how you want your clock to be laid out, 24-hour format, etc. Plenty of settings for you to play around with if you're someone purchasing this car. Then you have display settings individually. You can customize those. Safety and driver assistance. If you want all the various beeps to be quieter or louder, I'm actually very glad I found this screen because one of my biggest complaints about this car has been how loud the beeps are. And if you're someone maybe hard of hearing, you might want those to be loud, but goodness, is it frustrating when you're just trying to pull up to a curb and it's yelling at you and really, really aggressively. Automatic emergency braking, you can adjust how early you want that to yell at you or actively brake for you. Blind spot alert, I'm actually going to turn the chime for that off because that's been really annoying as well. Active lane management, so if you want the car to steer you back into your lane if you're coming out, then you can have it to either vibrate at you, to yell at you, or simply just steer. Again, I appreciate that a manufacturer gives you the customization for all of this. Below that, you have clock and date. This is how you're going to manually set your clock. I'm kind of surprised there's not just an automatic GPS setting in this car, but that's how you're going to take care of it there. Phone and Bluetooth. This is where you get to your device manager if you want to swap between devices that are paired with the car. Do not disturb. This is actually kind of nice because if you are someone that you're driving around maybe somewhere stressful, you don't want to be getting calls or texts or anything like that, you can turn do not disturb on. Enable 2 phones. This is really nice if you want one phone to be able to do navigation, and maybe whoever's in the car with you, you want their phone to be playing music. It's cool to be able to have 2 phones up at once. Some simple camera settings, mirror and wiper settings as well for your rain auto sensing wipers. And customize how sensitive you want your auto high beams to be, or rather your headlights. So this has auto headlights, and if you're someone who wants your headlights to come on just as it's starting to get dark outside, you might want it to be very sensitive. And if you're someone who doesn't want that to come on till later, you can adjust that sensitivity the other way. Daytime running lamps, those should be on. Cornering lights, why aren't those on as well? That's pretty nice there. Brakes. Auto parking brake. If you want the parking brake to set as soon as you put it into park, maybe you live somewhere pretty hilly. Doors and locks, a bunch of different settings here for if you want the horn to sound, and can you adjust how loud that is as well? Let's see. Oh, okay. This is actually kind of nice. So this is set so the first time you press the lock button, it's not going to sound the horn, but if you press it twice, it will. I'm going to leave that on. It's nice to have audible confirmation for your horn coming on. Hands-free power liftgate, so you can come back and simply kick underneath it, and then it'll open up the liftgate. And first press of the key fob unlocks. I like having it do all doors. Seats and comfort. Auto on, driver, heated seat, and steering wheel. If it's cold outside, you might want that to be on. Some settings for when you lock the door, some redundancy there, and then this is how you're going to get down to your software updates as well. Connect the vehicle to Wi-Fi, and then if you wanted to reset everything, that's the very last menu. Moving on to the last screen here, the apps screen. Again, this is, like I said, you can have favorite apps for things that you use regularly, things that you've used recently, or just the all app screens. This is going to allow you to quickly and easily with big buttons get to things like your audio settings, backup camera, market, so you can actually install other applications if you're connected to Wi-Fi or hotspot or anything like that. So kind of a nice way that Jeep and Stellantis here gives you access to everything the car can do. One last thing before we get to CarPlay and Android Auto is up here on the top of the screen. As you saw earlier, you can quickly get to your climate control settings right here by tapping on the front corners. That's how you adjust the temperature and quickly enable or disable your seat and steering wheel heat. And then this is sort of nice as well. If you drop down this menu, then you get some quick status bar shortcuts, they call it. Right here you can see we've got 7 of them, and then there's 4 in this quick toggle menu. But if you're someone who, again, say you really couldn't care less about the compass, but you want to have quick access to, say, your Wi-Fi hotspot, you click and hold that, swap it in there, and then on any screen that you're on, you still have access to this top menu. I really like having that because if I'm pulling up to a curb or something, I like to quickly see my camera. I simply press that one, and then look at that. You've got your cam. Comes right up. Smart way of Chrysler providing customization there. I should say Jeep. Nice way of Jeep providing customization there and making it a quick access. It's a good example of why you really need, if you get one of these newer cars with all this technology, infotainment, everything, you need to get in here and really play around with your screen for an hour or so. Customize the vehicle to your liking. Let's head into Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We're going to start with our wireless Android Auto here. You can see this is your home screen, so how it's going to look. You still get that bottom navigation bar and then the top status bar. I like having that. There's your app screen. Loading up pretty well. The screen refresh not super fantastic, but I guess not too bad. Let's take a look at Google Maps. You can drag yourself around. That's got good responsiveness. Recenter it. And what else? Let's bring up YouTube Music. I got my Ari going. Home screen. Yeah, now playing. That's how it's going to look. All right, let's plug in the Apple CarPlay. We're just going to see how quickly it goes from a plug. And can you have both? New CarPlay device connected. You want to switch devices and end your Android Auto? Yes, I do. Allow CarPlay. So easy to set up. Literally no cuts here in the video. And we are running with CarPlay going. There we see. Nice resolution for CarPlay, looking a little bit crisper. Your apps right there, and let's open up Google Maps. That's how it's looking on CarPlay. Again, can drag and move it around. Recenter. There's your home. And let's bring up YouTube Music again. That's how you're going to look. Alright, so going back home, before we end the video, I do want to try voice controls real quick. I don't think we have a hot word command. Let me check. Hey, Jeep. Nope. So let's try... Do we have... I don't see any sort of voice control. What is it? Oh, here we go. Let's try this. Okay, so holding this button down on the steering wheel is going to bring up your device's voice control, so Siri or Google Assistant. But if you simply press it... Oh, wait, we don't have navigation in this car, so it's not really going to help with anything. Just out of curiosity, let's see what happens. Nope. Okay, so simply tapping it is just bringing up your phone's assistant. What about now? Yeah, okay, so the car doesn't have any sort of voice assistant built in. That's interesting. I guess just hook up your phone. Alright, so there it is. There is the non-navigation version of Uconnect 5 here in the 23 Jeep Compass. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the usability of this system. If you do want to see more, I'm going to do the breakdown of the audio system, as well as our full review and everything else. Check the link in the description for those, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.